Today's lesson reminds us that there are times when you can be right in the middle of doing God's will and a storm can break out. Well, in Abraham's case, that storm came in the form of a famine. Now, take a moment to look at this from Abraham's perspective. I mean, how would you feel if God asked you to leave everything you knew behind? You know, things like your family, your friends, your business relationships, and the comfort of living in a place, well, where you grew up. How would you feel about leaving, well, all of that? Well, some of you know exactly what that is like when you immigrated, well, to a new country. Now imagine that you gave up all of that and you follow God to this new country that He promised to give you. And once you get there, well, a famine breaks out. Now, I don't know about you, but I'd be thinking, you gotta be kidding me. You asked me to, follow you some 1,600 kilometers to a new country, and it's broken? Things are so bad that you actually are forced to leave your new home and travel to another country. But wait, there's more. Abraham is not in Egypt for very long, and he finds himself in another storm. Only this storm has a name. It's Pharaoh, and Pharaoh has his eye on Abraham's wife, Sarah. Now, during this storm, both Abraham's faith and his character are tested. And how does he do? Well, he fails miserably. And I love this, and I love it because we know that when God called Abraham, He knew exactly who Abraham was. Flaws and all, God was not surprised by Abraham's lack of faith. So we have to ask, why did God call Abraham knowing that he was flawed? Here's why. You see, God wasn't looking for a perfect man. He was looking for a willing man, a man who would be willing to obey, and a man who would be willing, well, to learn from his mistakes. Here's why this is so important. I can't tell you how often people will tell me that they don't want to serve because they don't think, well, they're good enough. Oh, these are good people who are aware of their limits and capabilities. They are also very aware of their flaws and defects in character, and as such, they think that God wouldn't or couldn't work through them. And that's where they're very wrong. The Bible is filled with stories of God using flawed and imperfect sinners. Yes, they were all flawed, and yet God called them and executed His will through them. Not because they were able or perfect, but because they were willing to trust in God and not in themselves. Abraham was flawed, but he was willing, and eventually he grew from being faithless to becoming the father of the faithful, simply because he was willing. Well, that was our nugget for today. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you tomorrow.